Hello everyone and welcome back to another YouTube video. Really sorry that I haven't posted in the last couple of weeks. Been super busy with running and everything in life, but I'm back again for another video, and this time I will be talking about my shoes, and in particular what shoes I have in my rotation. I'm going to talk you through what I wear on a recovery day, an easy day, speed work, and then races, and then obviously a new pair which I've got for the trail, which I haven't actually worn yet. Just a quick disclaimer about the shoes that I have. All of the shoes that I own and wear have been bought by me, except for one pair which were gifted by Pro Direct Running, and they are the Nike Tempo Next Percent. The opinions are all of my own, so they're shoes that I like to wear, fit well for me. I mean, if you know me, I wear Nike shoes, so if you're looking for other brands, other shoes out there, then you're not going to find that here, but the ones that work for me, and I've always believed in a shoe that works for you. If it works, stick with it. So sit back and enjoy. This should be a good one. Starting off is recovery day, and what I wear for my recovery day is the Nike Miler React. So this shoe is a no-nonsense shoe. It's not a speed day shoe. It's purely for recovery and sort of easy running. You know what you're going to get from this shoe. You have a really good traction at the bottom, full Nike React midsole, and a very much a locked down foot with the upper. The shoe itself is 31mm in the heel, 21 in the forefoot, giving it a 10mm drop. It's a fairly heavy shoe in my rotation, but that's not a problem. It's an easy day shoe. One of the things I like about the shoe is that you can just put it on, lace it up, and just go and run some miles. It's built really solidly. There's a great heel counter in the back. I feel as if I don't have no issues with the lockdown. The lacing itself, a couple of holes to tie the runner's knot. Grip is fantastic. These have about 200 miles on them, and the wear on them is pretty good at the moment. Obviously I run fairly midfoot, so that obviously depends on your style of running. In terms of the longevity of the shoe and the price that you pay for them, it's pretty good, and for the value for money as well. So this shoe for me is only sort of based on those sort of easy days and recovery days when I have a chance to sort of give my body a break. And so this shoe fits really nice in that sort of slot. The colorway itself is fairly sort of standard. It's just a black shoe. I don't mind it getting dirty. A couple of things I don't like about the shoe initially, sort of foot problems with the shoe. But that tends to be an issue that I have with every shoe that I sort of pull out. Sometimes it just takes a couple of sort of 1 or 2 runs, if that, to sort of bed my foot into the shoe. But other than that, it is a fairly dependable and reliable workhorse shoe. Next up for the easy running is the Nike Vomero 14. So this is a shoe that I really love. I've been wearing this shoe for just over a year now since it launched. I had the previous iteration, and then they did the slight update, new supportive tongue, which was a welcome addition. The shoe itself features a full-length Air Zoom unit with full-length React in the midsole, a very much excellent grip at the bottom with a decoupled groove in between. I find the shoe fairly responsive for an easy day. Again, this is something that I wear for those 80% of those miles where I want something fairly responsive. The shoe itself is fairly stiff. Definitely stiffer than a Pegasus, which I've worn previously, but I find as if with Pegasus they're a little bit too soft for me, and I tend to sort of lean towards something which has a little bit more responsiveness and not something which is mushy. The fact of the matter is that this has full React and a full-length Air unit sort of gives me that extra sort of added responsiveness combined with the extra bit of stiffness. With the upper, you have an excellent amount of lockdown with these little heel pad cushions, nice sort of tapered heel counter which sort of doesn't rub against the Achilles. And itself, it's very stiff in the upper. I find it locks down to the foot really well, and it's something which I really like about the shoe. It doesn't flop, it doesn't sort of sag, it just sort of hugs the foot really well. It's not flying it, but it's a fairly breathable upper which is quite resilient to sort of wear and tear. I don't find it getting dirty too much, whether you can wear it in the rain and the sun, whichever, sort of holds out together. The midfoot is wrapped and locked down with a flywire, so that's a good boost in terms of wrapping down that midfoot, and again, possibilities to lace up your shoe, whether you want a standard knot or a runner's knot. The tongue itself, so the previous iteration, slimline tongue, if you can see that there. And the problem is that it was quite short, so you was getting an instance where you would lace up and you sort of dig into the top of your foot. So they made a quick iteration on the version 2. Everything else remained the same, and they improved the tongue. The shoe itself, again, is for easy running. I do love the shoe. That there is a new Vomero 15, which I'll put up on the screen, which is dropping very soon, so I'll be very excited to try that. In terms of rotating between this and the Miler React, it's something which I do often. I've tried previously the Infinity React and the Pegasus 37s. They went straight back for me. I just felt as if they didn't work that well. They felt a little bit dead, especially the Pegasus. The Infinity React, I had a huge problem with trying to find the lockdown for the heel. Just kept finding it was slipping. I tried an 8 and an 8.5. So for me, my go-to was always going back to the Vomero, and the Vomero works great. I go true to size in all my Nike shoes, so I'm a UK 8.5. And again, this fits perfectly in that bracket as well. And an excellent daily workhorse driver. Moving on to some speed day shoes, and this is an area where I sort of have the biggest amount of rotation in my lineup. Depending on the session, whether I'm doing a hill session, whether I'm doing a threshold session, whether it's a sort of a rep-based session, I tend to vary up the shoes depending on what I feel like doing and sort of what the actual workout is. I did receive these from Pro Direct Running. This is the Nike Air Zoom Tempo Next Percent. It's a great shoe. I mean, I loved running in the shoe. I haven't worn these for a few weeks or so. The specifics about the shoe: you've got a Zoom X in the forefoot, React in the rear, you have a nylon plate in the middle of the shoe, and you've also got a combination of 2 Air Zoom pods which sort of help with that propulsion moving forward. Up the top you've got a sort of synthetic Flyknit. It's an aggressive form of the Flyknit material. This is a one-piece upper, a midfoot cage around the midfoot. You do have the grooves for the back of the heel, which sort of hug your heel in, a really good lockdown. You've got a heel tab which helps with the shoe because it is quite a snug fit. Again, I'm an 8.5 in this shoe. The positives about the shoe is that it does feel fast. It's not something you would want to wear on an easy day. It feels kind of sluggish and a little bit clunky in my eyes, and I'm a fairly sort of lightweight guy. I'm not someone who wears super heavy shoes for speed work. I tend to sort of want to feel light on my feet, more mentally than anything. It helps with that feeling of be sort of very light on my feet. Nice ground response. These are good for that. Once you put a bit of speed into the shoe, they are fantastic for that. They struggle with the slower speed. I just feel as if I'm wearing something heavier on my feet. That said, it is really good at holding pace. You've got really good traction at the bottom. I mean, these have about 150 miles, close to 200 miles on the shoe, so they're sort of wearing really well. You do have React in the rear, but I don't tend to have a lot of wear in the back of the shoe, just a tiny bit. You'll have it on the outsole of the shoe because that's where I land the most. The things I don't like about the shoe, and the reasons why I'm not actually wearing the shoe at the moment: a couple of weeks ago I had an issue where on my left foot was incredibly sore and I literally couldn't walk that greatly on the left foot, right where the AirPod sits. I'm not too sure whether it's compression of the pod and that putting pressure on my foot, but it was really uncomfortable. I've never had an issue with how shoes sort of fit and how they sort of feel afterwards. I tend to sort of just be able to put them on and wear them straight away. So that was the first thing. The second thing was when I first got the shoe, I had a really bad ache along the outside of my foot in particular. So my right foot is bigger than my left, and I'm not too sure what it was. Maybe it was just me getting used to the shoe, which tends to be the case, but that sort of disappeared initially. The lockdown is great, but I feel as if that part where you've got the heel tab cuts into the back of my Achilles. You can see there you've got a lot of wear on the back, and you can see how much my socks are rubbing. So that has cut the back of my feet and foot 3 times, and as a runner who wears shoes all the time, I live in these things, it is incredibly irritating that does that, and you can see the wear on the back there. So for that reason I've taped the back of my ankles up, and for that reason I've decided not to wear these anymore. Yes, there was a gifted shoe, but it doesn't mean that I have the obligation to wear them for every single run. We'll go back to them eventually, or feel as if I want to run in them again, but other than that, they are a good shoe, but I can definitely see they would need to make some improvements on the shoe and the construction, because it is a heavily engineered shoe. This is one option that I was wearing. Another option that I do sort of tend to switch between is I have a few pairs of these Nike Vaporfly Flyknit 4%, which is the second iteration in the Vaporfly series. Again, this is a classic shoe. It's over 2 years old now. Yes, this is a lightweight racing shoe, but again, when I'm running those fast sessions or when I want to feel fast, I do tend to lean towards this, and I've luckily got 2 pairs of these. So this is the second pair which I have. This actually has just over 150 miles in them. I have a blue pair which I got 450 miles in them, so I think this still might be good enough to keep going. There's not a huge amount of wear. I do know that these wear quickly, especially with the first generation, but they are not too bad. So there's a couple of pairs which I do sort of switch in between these two. And if I'm feeling extra sort of speedy, I do have my first generation pair of the Nike Vaporfly Next Percent. So this shoe is, for me, the best shoe I've ever worn. It's the best shoe I own, and I've tried pretty much every single Nike shoe out there. I do wear these more often than not, because the thing with these is that you do buy them, they're a £240 premium shoe. What you don't want to do is have them for 100 to 200 miles racing and then sort of basically say they're retired now. That isn't a cost-effective way of owning a shoe. You can race in them, get the racing miles out of them. When you feel as if they're losing that tiny bit of bounce and springiness, you can then transition them into a training shoe. So for what I've been doing, I've been running my threshold sessions in these, any rep-based stuff, any sort of speed work that I might be running, I tend to run in these. These are close to 500 miles. So don't believe that these will wear very quickly. These are exceptional for 500 miles. You can see the traction on the bottom of the shoe. It looks fantastic right now. There's a huge amount of creasing, but that's expected about the mileage. And again, I'm a midfoot striker, and you can see on the outsole is wearing the fastest. So in terms of how long I'll keep wearing these, I'm planning to sort of put these into the ground and wear them as much as possible until I feel as if I've actually lost a little bit. But a tiny bit heavier than the 4%, but you've got a wider footbed, you've got more ZoomX foam. I prefer and really like the Vaporweave. It really hugs my foot, and again, these are a UK 8.5. What I do really love about the shoe is the fact that the lacing is laced asymmetrically, so you kind of relieve any sort of pressure on the top of your foot. I don't tend to have too much of a problem locked down, because you do again have that heel counter in the back, so another option for those speedy days. Moving on to racing, again I transitioned from wearing one of the speedy shoes into my racing, and again I've stick with the Nike Vaporfly 4%. This is probably one of my favourite colourways. I also have the white Olympic colourway along with the original OG colourway in the Phantom Green. Race my long runs, any sort of session, marathon based work, anything that I'd be running fast in, I tend to train in them, so when it comes to racing, I know what exactly I'm putting on my feet, and this is something which I can basically take out of a box and lace it up for a race. Yes, you shouldn't do that, but I have such a huge confidence in the shoe that I'm able to do that. The shoe itself is super lightweight. I've tried the Alphafly, many of you know I had them back in the summer. They were a good shoe. I mean, I'm not going to knock the shoe. I just feel as if they sit on the same level as Vaporfly Next Percent. You either like them both or you'd have a preference towards one. I just prefer the lighter weight of the shoe. This mentally makes me feel really quick and really fast, and I think that is a huge aspect when you are lacing up for a shoe and whatever it is that you're doing on that particular day. So again, you know you're going to get a good amount of mileage out of these. These I believe have about 50 miles on them, marathon, and a couple of 10Ks which I've worn in these. So these are my racing shoes. These are something which I love. Maybe I will go back to the Alphafly one day, maybe next year sometime, but for now I'm more than happy to sort of stick with what I know and what works for me, rather than sort of getting into the hype of that shoe, because what it's shown me is that that sort of technology, the tempo, is going to be translated into the Alphafly, because this is the daily trainer. So if I'm getting problems in this shoe, why would I go into a shoe which could potentially cause problems? Obviously I don't know that yet, and obviously I haven't tested that yet. I'm sort of inclined to sort of sticking with what works for me and what I know. So that is the racing shoe. Bonus shoe, which is the Nike Pegasus Trail 2 Gore-Tex. I'm a fair weather road runner, but I have got these because I needed something for trails and any sort of mud, any parks that I might go into, any sort of trails that we have nearby. I cannot keep running in the shoes which I have here. It's not sensible to do that. The last time I did that, I've pretty much felt as if it contributed to my injury, and we are not doing that again. I picked the Gore-Tex version because I couldn't actually get my size in the non-Gore-Tex version, so I opted for this, and also I like the colourway as well. It's quite nice, quite fresh, definitely great for this time of year. Hugely excited to try this sort of grip out on the trails, any sort of light trails that we have, and see how it holds up in any sort of mud. I don't think it will hold up greatly in sort of sloppy mud, but that is what we're here to do. So I'll give you a full review of these once I've taken them out. They're still box fresh, haven't actually worn them yet, so that is definitely something which I'll share with you. So there we have it guys, that is my shoe rotation video and all the shoes that I currently have in that rotation. Again, there's a mixture of all the different shoes. I will be probably updating some of the shoes as new ones release in the very near future. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I will be doing an episode 2 of Project Half next week as we've moved on to a new block of training, which is really exciting, making some progress at this very early stage. So do share, like and subscribe, and let me know what sort of videos you want to see next. I will do a full review of the Pegasus Trail to Gore-Tex once I've got out onto the trails. But in the meantime, drop a comment down below, let me know what you're training for and sort of what shoes you'd like me to try out in the future. I am looking for a sort of speed day shoe. I can continue wearing these, but I'm sort of looking for something which can maybe fill that hole and have a better sort of feedback on the tempo and next percent. So if there's anything out there that would be good for me to try, then please get in touch. But if not, I will see you in the next video. Cheers.